Was that always your plan?
No, so none of this was actually planned, right?
All God's plan.
This is all God's plan. For me, the number one priority in my life is my freedom. I like to have as least amount of responsibilities and as many access and assets as I can. Donald Trump is president because of the Trump name.
Yeah.
I mean, he became president because of his name. I was doing 100 flights a year for 10 years in a row.
Wow.
Going to like events and speaking at events, spoke at over 200-300 events in 50 plus countries already in the last 10 years.
So tell me, bro, what is Bitcoin and what still makes you believe in crypto in general, or let's say Bitcoin for a fact?
I actually had money in Bank of America. Bank of America actually blocked my funds, saying that I have to answer questions, what am I investing in? Still, my account in Bank of America is blocked. The largest amount of money used for terrorism and anything illegal is the US dollar. I have bought property in multiple countries and multiple continents from different parts of the world.
Hey everyone, GM. This is Saib here from The Base Show. And today we have yet another base entrepreneur / builder / investor / trader / whatever you want to call him, man, because he's probably a man of many hats and we have seen him doing all sorts of stuff in crypto. But man, today I'm excited to have Evan Luthra from, I don't know what to say, man, because this guy's a man of many hats. So I'm not going to say from a particular entity, but I'm just going to pass it on to Evan. Dude, welcome to the Base Studio. Welcome to the Base Show. Happy to have you, dude. And I just want you to introduce yourself. Like, Evan Luthra from what, dude? Because I can never get this right. Like, Evan from what, right? But I just know you that you are an active investor. You have built some cool shit in the past. Everyone knows you as like that active investor. You Forbes 30 under 30 and whatnot. So, dude, walk us through your past, man. Like, who is Evan? Like, why did Evan come to be such a big thing?
Thank you for having me here, man. It's a pleasure to be here, Saib. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you inviting me for this show. It's a long introduction. Depends if you want me to go into details.
We have all the time. So,
okay.
The thing is, everyone has seen the awesome side of like the whole Bitcoiner and there's the Bored Ape Yacht Club and like you making those 50, 100x's on crypto and stuff and whatnot, right? Like, I actually want to go back a little bit to like, who is Evan? How did you come around to being who you are today?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I got started in technology pretty early on. Ever since I was very young, ever since 12 years old was my first interaction with the web technology space. I got started early by basically writing a blog for a LinkedIn's blogging platform called Pulse. And I got to start writing that blog because my father, he is an entrepreneur himself. He's in the fashion business and garment manufacturing, right? And pretty much everybody in my family is in that business. My uncles, my aunts, my cousins, everybody does that. So I was, but he's also an entrepreneur himself, and he started a call center, a business that basically failed, but it's that business that failed, not him, right? But when I was 12, I used to go with him to the office and play with his computers. And I really liked that. There was just 200 computers lying around that nobody was using. And I was enjoying my time and I started blogging about that. And I guess people really liked reading about this 12-year-old kid who had access to all these computers. And without really putting in any effort or so, my blog became like the most read blog on this Pulse platform. I had 250,000 readers reading my blog. And I was only 12 at that time. So I was not like going out playing cricket or football like most of the people were. I was on my screen 12 hours a day, late into the night, basically enjoying whatever the internet had to offer. And then Apple announced they're coming out with the App Store, and I really was interested in that. And touch wood, unfortunately, I've always had access to good technology early on. My father always made available any kind of technology or gadgets that I wanted. So I had the iPhone from very early on, right? And when Apple announced they're coming with the App Store, like, I have to have an app for my blog. But at that time, to make an app, you couldn't go to people and say, can you help me with an app? Because there was very, very few people who actually had the expertise, and they were charging like hundreds of thousands of dollars to make a very simple app. So I basically spent my time online on forums learning how to do that, and I ended up building my first app. And that got me really interested in building apps. So I basically gave up on the blog. When I say I gave up, I mean I made the app for that blog, put it on the store. It was one of the first few apps out there, so it also got a lot of downloads just by being there.
Right.
I was in the time where there was like a few hundred apps on the App Store. There was no competition.
Literally.
This was really interesting, and then I wanted to build more apps. That got me interested, and then I ended up building the first app for Delhi Metro, which was the subway, the public transport in Delhi. And that got millions of downloads because people actually wanted to have an app to find and track their route, and there was nothing else out there.
So literally kind of like the Google Maps, but for Delhi Metro.
Google Maps for Delhi Metro, and it was a very simple app. It basically gave you a copy of the map and you could calculate your route. But very, very simple. Right. And there was no features. Now, if you go in the App Store, there's hundreds of apps for Delhi Metro. But there's a time when there was none. And mine was the first. By being virtue of that, it got all these downloads. This journey went into more. I built the first app for Dubai Metro. I built tons of other, a dozen different apps. I built an app for my school where I was studying, Pathways World School. I built an app for my society where I used to live called The Forest. I built apps for everything that I was interested in, right? This was maybe like 13 to 17. When 17 was when I had my first exit. What had happened was I built all these apps. I was not really making any money. I was doing, because my parents were like, don't focus on making any money. Just do what you like.
Just build cool shit.
Build cool shit. I also built the first app for ICC Cricket World Cup in 2011.
No way, dude.
And this was, so because I built all these apps, I had learned along the process that Apple actually shuts down for Christmas, right? So they do not open their app store for Christmas. And Apple actually checks each app. And that's like a 2-week process before you can publish your app.
Yeah.
So ICC Cricket World Cup actually was happening during January 2011. And ICC didn't realize that they couldn't publish their app on the first week of January because Apple is on holiday.
Correct.
So there was no official ICC Cricket World Cup app, and the World Cup had actually started. I knew from my previous tons of apps that I made that I had to get my app out there like a long time ago. So I had actually built an app and published it in December, and that had millions of downloads, became like the top 3 app on India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, UK, Australia, wherever cricket is played. Because the ICC Cricket World Cup is one of the biggest sporting events.
It's religion, man.
And yeah, so that app like got millions of downloads. I had so many of these impressions over these different tons of apps. So eventually a tech company, 2017, kind of made an offer, and that was my first exit. With the ICC Cricket World Cup, actually, I got a legal notice by ICC. Okay. I was 16 at that time, and they're like, you're using our logos without our permission, because I didn't know that you can't use the logo, right? I just put the logo as the app icon.
Right.
And then I had to give them that app for free and transfer over all the metadata. That had millions of downloads, right? So that by itself was so much value.
Right.
I could never capitalize on that because I obviously did not take permission from ICC. I didn't know you had to get permission to use copyright logos.
Like you said, you just wanted to build cool shit,
Just wanted to build cool shit. I mean, during this journey, I was also the first few hundred people to build apps. Actually, the first 10 people to build apps for the Google Glass, which was way too early for its time in 2012.
2012.
Yeah, so
holy
Google
shit.
came out with the Google Glass. That was augmented reality, AR and VR, but it was way too early for its time. It never picked up. But even now, Google Glass is still used in enterprises. But like, for example, I was living in San Francisco in 2014. I met somebody there who from Unilever who actually hired me to build simple apps for Google Glass for them, which they were paying me like heavy 6 figures for, right? This app I could build like in 6 hours. So that's like the kind of like early interest in technology I had. By this time I started to monetize. I had my first exit. I moved to San Francisco. I was living in Silicon Valley. And I went to this program called, because I didn't go to university. So after finishing high school, I went to San Francisco where I started, because that's where I wanted to be. That was where the hub of all technology, right?
Yeah.
So 2014, I'm living there. I'm obviously deep into tech. Every day hanging out, going to meetups and meeting with all these people deep into Web2. And at this point, there's not much anything I've done in Web3. But this is like during these meetups and stuff, I come across Coinbase in 2014 saying they're giving $5 to revenue users. So I already had a little bit of success, right? I had a little bit of money. It's 10 years ago. I was 19. And I had relatively more money than most 19 years old because they were in university. I was making cash flow, independent. I could do what I want. So I was having a really good life. I was going around partying. At the same time, with all the freedom in the world. So, I would have bottles and models and yachts every day. And I was also invited by like TED, SRCC, and a bunch of universities and Google, Nielsen, and tons of companies to give talks and speak at events. I was going to the World Economic Forum, speaking at various events. So I was building like a few 100,000 people as my followers already. Not a big following, but like still significant. And that's what I was like trying to monetize. And that's Coinbase was like giving $5 to revenue users.
Right.
So that was my first like interaction with Bitcoin, was to send new people to Coinbase and get paid $5 in Bitcoin for free. Each of the they got $5 and I got $5, right? Each of the $5 is worth over $500 today. That just tells you the exponential growth that Bitcoin has had. Actually, today's price worth over $1,000 today.
Wow.
So that's
Wait. So how much did you accumulate from that referrals?
So I didn't accumulate a lot of Bitcoins, but still I got quite a few. at the Bitcoin was under $300, under
Wow.
300, right? So it's $250, $300. So around the time I was doing this, so it was like I did get quite a few Bitcoin, but also I didn't keep all of them also because I didn't realize the true potential, and I was living a pretty expensive lifestyle.
Did you buy pizzas with that Bitcoin?
I bought a lot of things. I bought a lot of things that you also consume. So yeah,
Okay.
so I was in San Francisco, out there. Actually, one of the first investments that I did in Web2 that I still hold because it was an equity investment was ease.com. It was Uber for weed. So you could press a button and they would deliver weed to you wherever you are. So Uber. San Francisco, where the weed culture was like Thailand is now.
Correct.
10 years ago. So there's weed shops everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just been legalized. Everybody's smoking weed in California, but it was still a hassle to go to a dispensary to buy it. There was no marketplace you could go online, and East came up with this idea. I was the first investor in. And boom, and that company blew up really fast. By 2016, in 2 years, it was the fastest growing company in the US and had 100x my investment. Because it was equity, I couldn't sell anything, right? And still hold all my shares.
Right.
But fortunately, I made cash flow from all other things during that journey, so I never had to sell it. But this made me realize that, investing is the number one way to grow, right? So I was this entrepreneur. After selling my company, I was not doing anything full time, but I was investing very actively. And a lot of this time, people were reaching out to me and saying, can you help me with my app? Or can you help me with my... A lot of these people were at idea stage. They had ideas. They were experts in their own industries. A lawyer who's a legal expert, an insurance guy is an insurance guy expert, a real estate agent is a real estate expert. But they all wanted to build technology, and they wanted to use technology to disrupt their space. And to me, that was very exciting because I like to invest in technology, and I believe technology will disrupt every single industry.
And this is when you were 19.
This is when I was 19. I already had my exit. I'd already made a couple million.
Yep.
I was living in Silicon Valley. After I didn't like the lifestyle so much, so I moved to LA after a bit and moved to Miami. I was living in the US, still very deeply involved in the tech space there.
So long story short, basically you were living the American dream when you were 19.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all you wanted to do was build cool shit.
Yeah.
And you realized that you were actually front running all the different innovation out there.
That was the best thing. When I was living in San Francisco, I was able to front run all the different. That's the only thing that I still miss about not being in SF is that you actually are at the cutting edge of what happens in technology. Like what I was hearing about Bitcoin there. I was hearing about AR, VR there. I was hearing about the best investment opportunities. And even in Web3 today, some of the best deals I get to invest in, I met the founders back then. Super Oracles, the biggest projects out there. I met founder back when I was living in SF. Right. GenBlock Capital, met the founder in SF. Some of the top deal, Hedera. So actually what happened was, during this process, I was still living there, I ended up investing in the seed round of Hedera Hashgraph, HBAR, and XRP Ripple. I did HBAR seed round before it was called Hashgraph. The company was called Swirl. So I bought equity, like I was doing many other equity deals.
Right.
And that ended up doing a token, HBAR, and they gave us free tokens as equity holders. And that token went 500x. And I could sell that token.
500x.
Yeah, at 500x.
How long is this?
So HBAR, even today, is worth a few billion. I don't check it every day, but I bought it 10 million. So even today, it's worth like a few hundred X or more. Like the peak was, I think, 20 billion.
So you're still getting paid out passive income for an investment you did back in 2019.
Back in 2016.
2016.
2017. HBAR was 2017.
That's 1 second. So let's rewind back. All right. That's a lot to digest because you're saying all 100Xs, 500Xs, and everyone knows you for that. When did you buy your first Bitcoin? At what price?
So, no, didn't buy it. I got
you
it.
stumbled upon Coinbase, giving that referral. By that time, you somehow had this massive following because you've been
not massive, relatively very little, less than 10% of today.
All right. But at that time, it was big.
At that time, it was
big. Yeah, it was big enough to influence people to buying their first Bitcoin and get a $5. What was Bitcoin at that price?
It was under $300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we talk today, Bitcoin is crossing 70,000 right now.
Yeah.
Am I right?
100%.
And maybe in the next few days, it's going to cross all-time high.
Exactly.
Fingers crossed.
If I'd actually just bought Bitcoin and not done anything, I just partied all the way, I would have made more money. So I did a lot of stuff along the way. I invested in hundreds of companies. I have had a lot of fun. I had everything I did. So a very key thing is everything I did, I was enjoying the process.
Right.
I've never actually worked in a company where I did not want to work. It's always been something I've enjoyed. So I don't regret it. But just looking from an investment perspective, we actually bought Bitcoin with everything at that point and done nothing else. I would have made way more money.
but you're still kind of practicing exactly what you're doing. Is basically you live life on crypto today.
Yeah, 100%. I am very deep in Web3.
Right? So you literally you make money in crypto, you spend crypto.
Yeah.
That's the perfect example of being like a crypto user, basically.
100%. 100%. So I actually live my full life very much in crypto, right? So all my credit cards are crypto. I keep most of my portfolio, my liquid portfolio in crypto. I don't trust I have multiple bank accounts in different jurisdictions in multiple continents, but at the same time, I don't trust them. I only send money there when I need to buy something which I cannot buy with crypto.
I'm going to get to that point because I know you've made a lot of different diversified investments outside of crypto as well.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. But now that you're talking about investments, you're talking about getting into these very early on deals that have gone on to do 500x. Was that basically just the right time, right place of what you think, in SF and you met these guys? And kind of what led you to that? Was it just like the people you were surrounded with and hence you got these opportunities? Or what would you owe that success to?
So, it's a mix of different things, right? It's a mix of different qualities. Like 90% of it is showing up. If you showed up in SF at that time, I was basically showing up every day at different meetups. You would go on Eventbrite and I would see what's happening. What is a tech meetup? And I don't mean like a conference. I mean like meetups where people at a bar or a cafe. And then you go and meet them. But the difference is people in SF, everybody who's surrounding yourself, at least now it's not the same. If you go now, it's not the same. And 10 years ago, it was a different world. When you would go around, everybody you would meet would talk about what's happening. And because 10 years ago, the technology was a fundamental shift, right?
Right.
You coming onto mobile, and mobile changed the game. Now you have a supercomputer in the palm of your hand. And being early into that space was very powerful. And now AI is doing the same thing. Now, if you're in SF and you have access to invest or be even involved with AI companies, it can game change. I know multiple people 10 years ago that I met in SF that ended up were building AI companies and today they're billionaires. I don't want to take some names here, but I know these people who are just like me hanging out in the park, coming up with ideas, just graduated or haven't done but now they do so much because they got in the right space, the right time. So a lot of it is showing up and also being curious, right? You could show up and then not talk to anybody. That doesn't help. You want to be curious. You want to have a passion. Like I said, for me, I was very passionate about technology from a very young age. From a very, very young age, I was interested in how technology is doing things. So because this was my passion, I wanted to be involved. I always wanted the next gadget as soon as it came. I wanted the new gadgets as soon as they came out. So it was like having this interest that made me also want to be involved. Like even today, like I said, right, I could have not been interested and just bought Bitcoin and
just sit back. Yeah.
But I did a lot of stuff because I'm interested in the space. Because I like what Web3 is about. I like what technology is about. I like to use technology, disrupt ideas, and see how you can fix industries, how you can make things more efficient. So that's also a big part of it. And one other big difference is also leverage, right? I was able to leverage a lot of resources available to me to be able to grow so fast. So already one of the biggest leverage I had was code. I was a programmer myself. I was building apps that millions of people were using, right? And that was how I got started and got my first success and my seed, right? And after that, I already had this at least small amount of capital to play with, I could do a lot more things. I had leverage of capital that opened up to me. And then also after starting my company and having that small influence, opened the leverage of media. Now I had access to influence that I could also use. So I was able to one after another go after all these leverages. And the fourth lever, which I already had, was my incubator. So what had happened was...
Back in India.
So what happened was as I was living in SF and investing in all these companies, people were coming to me also with just ideas. They had good skill sets, but they didn't know how to build the app. And I obviously was not going to be selling out my hours just for dollars to build apps anymore. I was more at a negotiating table. Way beyond that. But then I knew engineers in developers in India that I was able to hire for very low price. So I had over 100 developers, almost up to 200 people working full time for me at the office. They were being managed there and building. What we would do is we work with people who have ideas and we would give them a little bit of cash and then I would give them all the technology support.
Right.
So I would come in, I would say, okay, we're going to build the technology. We're going to give you a little bit of seed money to do marketing. You go and try your idea and we see how it does. it was, most of the ideas did fail, but the ones that worked, they paid for all the failures, right?
Is there any that's still around today?
Yeah, there's quite a few that have also ended up going into Web3. Some of them did really, really well, also exited. So, I mean, there's nothing that reached a unicorn status.
Okay.
So none of the ones that actually incubated reached $1 billion status. But I made pretty good because I came in so early. I came in so early. So I had the leverage of code. I had the leverage of labor. Because all these people working for me, they were all doing code, so there was leverage of code, leverage with more labor. So I had all these things working in my favor. I had media, I had resources, I had code, I had labor. So I could use this and grow really fast in the space. I think so. That's why I like to say when people ask like why technology, right? Because technology is one industry that grows exponentially. Unlike other industries which grow 10, 20, 30% a year, maybe 100% if you really work hard and you're lucky. And that's also one of the reasons why I didn't go to my family business, right? Which is like basically set up on a platter for me, right? Which was also a significant business by itself. But you can't beat the leverage that I have, right? So I don't have to show up to office. I have not walked into my office for like 8-9 months. So I don't even feel like going. So that's the main idea here. So that's technology. When it reaches that J curve, most businesses grow like this. Technology grows like this. You may even suffer for the first few years, but once your J curve, it's the adoption, it just goes fast. Yeah. And that's what we saw. That's what we see in a lot of these crypto and Web3 projects. Yep. The difference between Web3 and Web2 mostly is liquidity. A lot of my Web2 deals, I have to wait. I'm basically forced to hold. I don't have an option to sell it. It's not as easy as Web3 where you can sit on the toilet and press a button and you have liquidity right away.
Just like we've got into like the Web2 and Web3 things, right? And you've mentioned about these opportunities. What you've mentioned here about leverage is super important and key, right? Because I believe, and just like you said, like you can be at the right place, right time. But if you don't know how to leverage yourself or your powers or your resources, you're not going to get anywhere. And I've seen one person that has done it well, even till date, because I've been in many conversations with you, and you know exactly how to leverage based on the ammunition that you have in your back pocket. But like before you even got into like the investment world and you were investing in Web2, like essentially what was your ethos? Like what was your mandate? You went from builder to investor. Was that what you wanted to aspire to always do? Or like you had to put down your builder hat and then be like, hey, I actually enjoy investing, and that's like the kind of lifestyle I wanted. Was that always your plan?
No, so none of this was actually planned, right? This all happened.
It's all God's plan.
This is all God's plan. And this was all like, what do I want to do right now? What do I want to do today? Like for me, the number one priority in my life is my freedom. I like to have as least amount of responsibilities and as many access and assets as I can. So this all happened because of that, right? Because I didn't want to have more and more responsibilities. I could have started a second company right after selling my first. I had a lot of opportunity to do that. But then I realized if I do that, then I become answerable. If I become answerable to other people who are looking up to me and who are basically working for me, or not just like people like eventually start a company or raise capital to grow. I didn't want to be in that position, right? So that's why I did this incubator where I was mostly the one giving the cash, giving the resources.
Yeah, but
so
you had a team
I have
under
all
you.
of these. There was a point where I was incubating over 10 companies at the same time. And I had significant shares in the company. I'm talking up to 20% in a lot of these companies, where that's more than what many founders have for their own companies. So I had the option that I'm working for 10 companies, but I don't have to show up, right? I have staff that's working, I have capital that's working, and I have the CEOs who came to me and partnered with me. They're also working. And that's at a scale I have 10 times, right? And that was just, this is I'm talking 10 years ago, not now. Now this is a scale of 500 times.
Yeah.
But originally I was deeply involved with a lot of the companies pre-seed, coming up with ideas, what feature, what design goes into the app, what color to use, where does the button place. I was the one with the most experience in the team, right? So even though I was not coding, I was still strategizing very well. So, but I didn't have to. There was every app that we built, there was 10 designers on it. Actually, what we used to do was, unlike other people, because we had access of resources, I was like, we should spend extra money, but we want to have the best product, right? Because before I was building really shitty products when I was building them myself. But then the game had changed. Now there's millions of developers, millions of apps. So you got to have the best of the best. Yep. So then what we used to do was just have 10 people design the same app. Say, I like the profile page from this guy, the settings page from this guy, but the menu page from this guy. Because, design is a lot about how you've been brought up, how you've been raised. Every designer, you tell them to design a watch, they're all going to come with 10 different versions. Nobody's going to come with the same thing because it's all about what you've been exposed to. So even though we had this, I was still advised, like, okay, this is what we want to do. So I have always had this opportunity and availability, even today, that I can go to a company that I have significant assets in and be like, how can I help you today? What do you want to do? So I've had this option to be a builder, but in a way where I don't have any responsibility. If I don't message you for 6 months, you can't come and say why you haven't messaged me.
Right.
So that's the kind of situation I put myself into. And also because now it's a lot less, but like many years ago, I was partying a lot too. I was going out every night. So I was having this like lifestyle where I was on the first Rich Kids of Instagram TV show. Right. That's how also my followers started growing into the millions today, is I started doing TV shows.
Right.
So 2016, I did the Rich Kids of Instagram TV show. That blew up, was seen by 100 million people, and it basically was trend on Instagram for a long time. The page would feature everything I would do, flying in hundreds of private jets, yachts, champagne bottles and all that stuff, being into...
What a life.
that was growing my followers a lot, right?
And it's not like your life has changed, man. You're still doing the same things.
100%, but it's a lot less now. It's a lot less now what I used to. Before I was like, I think it's just like you could drink every night and then wake up and function.
What's changed? Just the age?
I think you just can't drink so much and then also function. Like you can't do what you were doing like at 18, 19, right?
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
There's a more detox and relaxation time needed. And also now, like I've done a lot of it so much, like it's not as exciting, right? It's like the law of diminishing returns. When you do the same thing so many times, we're going to Monaco Formula 1 10 times in 10 years in a row, right? So it's not as exciting to keep going.
Bro, the problem is you live life too early, man.
Yeah, I lived life for a lot of people have not lived. In definitely that part's there. Like I've lived a lot. I've been in 90 countries, right? That by itself.
Holy shit.
And many of them multiple times over. So it's like, and I've seen a lot of different things also. I've been with a lot of different people. So that also allows me to do what I do, is that I know what is in demand in one place and what is offered in one place versus somewhere else. Like
kind of breaks that opportunity then.
Exactly. There's a huge arbitrage opportunities everywhere you go. For me, travel is definitely one of the best ways to learn and best ways to grow.
So, bro, basically, let me get this straight. I mean, you've kind of achieved what you have always wanted, which is freedom, right? And kind of like goes back to the ethos of decentralization of Bitcoin, which is financial freedom as well, right? What would you say is your life today? Like, how would you describe yourself today? Are you just an active? You are a value-added investor or an advisor to many. Like, what does your day look like when you wake up today? Like, what's a day at the, I'm not going to say office, but what's a day in Evan's life?
It depends where I am. What am I doing? If I am, in a place where there's events or stuff, or I'm going to some certain event. I don't like I said Formula 1, or if I'm going to like a film festival or something, that I'm doing that day. I work on my phone most of the time. I open my laptop actually very little. I do most of the deals on the phone. I have people who are managing different things for me. So a lot of the delegation is what's really what I'm doing. I have assets and resources, and a lot of my value at today, the most value that I can provide for people is introduce them to the right person. Like that's a lot of the big value add today. Like I said, coding used to be a big value add before, but now to even like the people I deal with now, where you have the maximum leverage is capital. Those people don't really care about developers, because there's HR teams, there's CEOs and there's HR who I manage that. Now I'm above that level where I'm only connecting people with the right people, putting them in the right room together so they can grow. So that's most of my value add today, and that's the most impact that I can create. If I can bring a founder in a room with somebody who can get that founder's project in front of 1 million people, that's worth more than helping him build a product, because he can hire tons of people to build the product, but there's only so many people that he can get access to in community in the right way, right? So a lot of my work is around that today. And this is also by choice. Even today, I'm investing in companies. So I invest a lot in alternative assets, which I just enjoy.
Like what, bro? Like what?
Like my friend, like for example, started a furniture company. So okay. I want to have multiple homes. So I said, okay, I'll invest in a furniture company, and invest in a furniture company. Another friend started a modeling agency. He said, okay, I said, I'll invest in your modeling agency. Another friend started a vodka company. I invested in a vodka company. So like all these kinds of things I've done. So, but there's people managing all of these. But these companies, because I was the first and main investor, I'm like majority shareholder. So I don't work in them. I don't talk to them like for a while, unless I want something from the company. Like that's the idea, right? And unless I have something I can help with the company. But my personal, right now as an investor, end of the day, you do what you want because you enjoy it, or you want to make money from it. What I do for enjoyment is also investing, also building, and that's where I put most of my time. When it comes to investing, to make money, obviously in the position that I'm in today, anything I build doesn't have the same scale as much as just playing the game of finance in Web3 right now. Like I can go into projects and have very good deals and invest very selectively, and I could make kind of returns in one day. Because like I've been a long-term value investor, right? Like I said, I've not sold some assets for 10 years plus, and that's why I've had all the success. But at the same time, in Web3, now you have opportunities in the bull market where you can make like insane returns that have nothing to do with fundamentals. That have nothing.
Right.
Normally, and I've been speaking this for 10 years. This is not something I say today. Like value, money is a byproduct of creating value for others. The more value you create for others, the more money you get. And if you chase creating value for others, you will always make money. But in Web3 now, there's ways to play the game where you can create tremendous value, and that's just what the world is moving towards. So that's what I do to make money right now today, is use my money to invest into deals, and that's how I make more money. So that's why I've invested in over 600 Web3 projects till date.
600 Web3 projects.
These are projects which are like private sales, which I invested before they're listed. I'm not even talking about buying like spot buys, like I don't know, like Avalanche or like Solana or like BNB or Ethereum or Bitcoin. I'm not even talking about those.
This is just Web3. We're not talking about your Web2 investments.
This is not Web2. This is just Web3 pre-listed.
What would you say? You're a shareholder of about at least 1,000 companies by today?
So over 100 plus in Web2. Web2 has been relatively less. I do about, I would say, 10 to 20 Web2 companies a year, and out of that, 10 of those are basically interest companies, which is my personal interest. So I don't do that many Web2 unless it's like I'm doing a few AI Web2 companies because I'm bullish on that space. So, for example, a Web2 company that I invested in was LandVault. In 2017, I met this founder, Sam, in London. He told me about his past company that didn't do that well, but I really liked him. And he's like, I want to do something right now, and I think VR is a space that I want to get into. I'm like, yeah, I'm also bullish on VR. You should do something. I want to support you. And he's like, I have this idea about doing like an ad network, like a Google AdSense for VR, because VR can grow. At that time, everybody had a VR hype. This is still, I'm talking very early, right? There was no Apple Pro
VR wasn't the thing back then, yeah.
Wasn't the thing. But I was in it because I was doing Google Glass development, and I was in it personally, and I wanted this space to succeed. So I said to Sam, start this company. Me and my friends will do the first 200K seed at $1 million valuation. And so I put 50K myself, and then I got the founder of Hedera, who had just got me into his deal,
right,
which I knew was going to make money. I'm like, I want to make you some money back. I don't know if this does well, but it's very cheap. It's $1 million valuation.
Yep.
And the guy's legend. I've talked to him. He's done startups before. He knows what he's talking about. So he came in. A few other close friends came in who'd also done their good tech companies, and they got me to good deals, and we took the whole round, right? And then that company grew, eventually coming into Web3, and then they just got acquired for $450 million.
Wait. $450 million.
Yeah, so that's 450 times the value that I invested in it, right?
Holy shit.
What was my value add for that guy was bringing him the other people who were all super helpful along the way to help raise his other rounds. When he entered Web3, Andrew was a guy who had already built 2 companies, both $1 billion valuations. Easy access to all the people.
And this is a Web2 company.
This is a Web2 company.
Wow.
So they actually they ended up raising like $25 million in next year after that at $100 million valuation. So the company
you're already 100x basically.
100, but this was still totally Web2, nothing to do with Web3 at that point. I actually thought about selling my shares. I was like, but to sell the shares, I had to go through all the paperwork, because it's Web2.
Because it's equity.
It's like you got to hire lawyers, pay $10,000 for a lawyer up front, account. So it's too complicated. I'll do it later.
You sold it.
I just held it, right? And I would have sold it if it was not that hard. If it was a button, I would have done it.
Blessing in disguise, bro.
Blessing in disguise, right? So that's the downside of Web3 also. It's so hard to hold.
You cheat your bags too early, man.
You cheat your bags too early. So I didn't sell. And then now they got acquired for $450 million.
Wow,
just
bro.
like
What a win. What a win, man. What a 7 years journey?
7 years journey.
450x?
So obviously we get diluted along the way, right? I was left with 1.3%. So still a massive win.
At least
when
a 200x.
I started, I was at 5% of the company, the 50K check at $1 million.
But the beauty part of this is that you didn't make money alone, actually.
I didn't, right?
And you made your friends money as well.
But that was the biggest value add also. That was 2017. At that time, I did not realize my biggest value add was this. I was just doing it because I understood that getting Andrew a good deal was the right thing to do because he got me a good deal. And that's how you grow together, right?
Givers gain, man.
But now I realize my biggest value add was this. I actually helped Sam also do like his first tech, a little bit of first tech, but that was not my value, so I didn't want to be involved in that. He was growing way too fast. Like I said, he raised 25 million in the first year, right? So that was the thing. Like my value out there was mostly bringing him the right people at that right stage. Was making those groups for him. There was a big incubator, accelerator, plug and play or something. Or Excellent Boris was the guys. They're from Germany. They also invested. So all these people who came in early onto his round were very influential and powerful people. They were a solid team of angels. They all got a good deal because they trust him at the idea stage, and they all helped him grow also. So my value add there was mostly bringing the right people, not the money, because you could also got that elsewhere. So that was the main. And along this journey, I realized that more and more. As 2018, 2019, when more people started reaching out to me and saying, "Can you help me with introductions? Can you help me with that?"
That's what people don't realize. Actually, a lot of people don't realize the fact that all of this is years of building out there, building relationships that add value on one introduction. People don't realize saying, what are you bringing on the table? Bro, what I'm bringing is the years of experience, the years of showing up to events, the years of investments, and the years of maintaining that relationship to bring on the table so that you could meet someone that you would have ever met before.
100%. Like, it's the same thing, right? I mean, Sam could have emailed all these top people, but
no one would have given
replied.
a shit a bit. Yeah, exactly.
But when I did the introduction, I told them I'm putting 50K. They all said, okay, we're going in with you. So, right?
And that's the name of the game, right?
That's the name of the game. So, and today, this is the most value. This is the most value in Web3 is actually the name. I mean, today, this is not just in Web3. This is the most value everywhere.
Anything in the world.
Donald Trump is president because of the Trump name.
Yeah.
I mean, he became president because of his name. He was already a celebrity for so long, and this is why Mr. Beast today is more influential than so many people out there. It's his name, and that's why he's worth $1 billion by just creating videos. I think reputation goes a long way, and as the world becomes more and more social media, relevant, then this becomes even bigger of a thing. And I think that's why also people reached out to me, and I realized what was happening because I was growing my followers, right? At the Rich Kids of Instagram TV show. It didn't put me in the right light, right? Showed me as this playboy model. I was doing that, but I was also working a lot, but I didn't talk about any of that. So then other people started reaching out, said, we want to talk about you. So then I was smart. I said, I'm only going to do the show if you actually also make it inspiring for the people watching.
Right.
You want to show also the side I've been doing. So then Arman Aliza, the number one TV anchor from Finland, fly to me to Dominican Republic, film a show there, fly with me to Miami in a jet. And we talked about all the business I was doing in DR then, one of the presidential candidates there. We showed everything in real life. Then RTL from Germany, that's another television. They flew to DW, flew to India, filmed my office and everything. So I did more TV shows.
Right.
I was doing all this time and all these followers, and I was at every other event. I was traveling nonstop. I was doing 100 flights a year for 10 years in a row.
Wow.
Going to events and speaking at events, spoke at over 200-300 events in 50 plus countries already in the last 10 years. And this the World Economic Forum, along with presidents and prime ministers and CEOs, then a G20. And then slowly more and more in Web3, because that's where I was realizing that's where I want to be in. And then people were seeing this, right? People were seeing I was all these people. And now I actually post a lot less than what I used to post, because now it's become almost a problem to be famous and rich. So it's but during this process, people realize, hey, this guy knows this person. I need to get to this person. And I've always been very approachable. So people can message me, and I'm always on my phone anyway. So most of the time, I reply to most people. Even if it took a few days, I would reply. And if I like something, then I was able to make those introductions happen. I think that's how this all came together. And that's how, as I grew, and what I realized was it's a lot more impactful for me to be investing and helping these companies than be actually incubating and advising what color your button should be, right? And I still have the incubator still runs. The developer is still employee.
Really?
But I'm not involved.
So it's an automated engine today.
It's an automated engine today that still runs. It's not as successful today because obviously I'm not there.
Yeah.
A lot of value now people realize was the introductions. People are still coming and getting the apps built that we are investing in, but they're not able to grow that fast once they launch because they don't have those resources. Because my time is now more valuable to introduce people in the Web3 space.
Right.
Because Web3 space, when I introduce, I get liquidity a lot quicker.
We've heard all about the 100x's, 500x's. And I know for a fact, bro, that this is never the case in especially Web3. We've got so many bad actors as well. It's easy to make money, but it's easier to even be scammed. Tell us the other side of being scammed, or what has been your dark times in Web3?
So, I mean, for me, it's like I've been scammed, I've been drained, I've been fished, and I have a scam budget, right? So, I mean, not just in Web3, I've been scammed before Web3 also, right?
Okay.
I've invested in founders which painted a nice picture and then tomorrow go and rug you, right? And this is completely Web2, nothing to do with Web3. And I've been scammed multiple times over because I like to acquire nice things not easily available, right? And then you have to jump through hoops or pay some people, and then you know that, like, so that's the thing. So it's like, for me, I developed a scam budget actually a long time ago, where if I don't trust a scam budget every year, it's okay, I keep going.
Right.
There have been instances where I've been scammed for a very significant amount, or I've not been treated fairly, where I have gone legally, and then like the biggest incident was with BitGet, right? So they froze $200,000 of my funds,
wow.
and then tried to claim that they did that because I'm dumping tokens, which was a lie. And I called them out for it, right? And then eventually I sued them in 4 different jurisdictions around the world and took them to court for like a $16 million lawsuit because they were damaging my reputation.
Did I remember, like, I think it was pretty much all the publishing houses spoke
Everywhere.
about this.
It was in CoinDesk, Forbes, Cointelegraph, Cryptonomics, Cryptopolitan, every publication, Bean Crypto, Hacker Noon, everywhere I published, everywhere it was there.
And they eventually paid up.
They eventually paid up, and they paid much more than they froze, which is the right thing to do because they did waste a lot of my time. And they apologized. So then we moved forward. I also apologized for calling them out to be a scam because they did the right thing. And I think nobody's a scammer if they learn and they apologize and move forward. You're only a scam if you don't do the right thing later on.
So basically, it's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. And then, but like, yeah, I've also been drained. So I invested in this project called Ultraverse, backed by Binance, always the #1 crypto exchange out there. And the founder apparently he claims his account the project is dead now. They've basically run away with the money. So we don't know what actually happened. But the founder sent me a claim link that was a phishing link that stole 20 Ethereum from my wallet. So, this is
outright. Like,
and this American guy.
The founder himself sent you this.
Now he claims his Telegram account got hacked. So I mean, that's not really my fault.
Yeah.
During this time, he claims it got hacked, but there was a 4 to 5 day process when I was talking to his other team members who were asking me to introduce them to other people. I was introducing them to other people, talking to his team every day.
Right.
Nobody informed for 4 days that his account was hacked. So it's hard to believe, right? And there's other instances where I've just generally been scammed. I've paid for things I've never received. I paid for tokens I've never received. One of the best investments in terms of ROI was Blocktopia not this last bull market.
Right.
Did over 900x from seed price, but we only ever got 10% of our tokens. Still a 90x that you realize, but it's still a scam because
you never got all your tokens.
Never got the other 80% or so of tokens, above 80%. Still haven't got them, So the team, they claim that they made us money. It's not them who made us money, right? They launched it at the right time, right place. Facebook had just changed its name to Meta. Metaverse was the talk of the town, and they just got to be there.
This was the last cycle.
It's the last cycle. It was the last cycle, right? And then they blew so much. They blew up. It's 9x. That doesn't mean that they can just steal our other tokens. They still have to give them because we paid for that. We even worked for it. We even promoted them, bought them introductions and stuff. So there's other projects that have been scamming me even the last few months, right? The projects I've invested in. I just sued this guy. Project Ambo, Sharetopia. I actually helped this guy so much to the point where I was advising them, and I got him like most of his investors. He has about 80,000 people in his Telegram community. 70,000 people are from me directly, and he confirmed that.
Holy shit!
So, and he still didn't send me his tokens, right? So there's people that are just bad actors. They decide, and so what happened was I sued him. I took him to court, right? The token was trading at $3, and I took him to court. All my tokens worth over millions, but he had not sent me tokens. We already vested with 300,000. He realized he couldn't win in court because my contract was very strong.
Right.
Unlike most SAP, which are not strong, this was a strong one.
Yep.
Because I was helping him so much, I made sure my agreement was strong. But then what he did, he went and rugged the token. He started dumping team tokens because he knew he would have to end up paying me the tokens if it's in the code.
So he rugged the whole project.
Rugged the whole project.
Just
the token's
to not pay
down
you.
like 95% since I sued him, right? So that's just a bad thing. This guy could have done Funsho or so. He could have done well. I mean, I supported him so much, put him in front of Binance. He was the homepage of Binance Live in the Binance app doing an interview with me, right? So much resources available. This is like a $50,000 opportunity that was all given for free, but the bad actor just thought like, hey, we can't go after him legally, right? Because What do we say? There's no claim against dumping tokens.
But that's the thing, right? I mean, a lot of people say this, like, dude, you're in Web3, you're in a casino, all you're doing is gambling, right? Like, I mean, tokens pump and dump, they're so fundamental and stuff, right? So, like, before we get into the tokens, and I mean, there's definitely bad actors, there's all these dumping. We also know that not everyone is like you that will go out and kind of sue that team. Yeah. You've got larger stake at loss.
And but also, it's not possible. I have the power of leverage.
You have the means. You have the means and the leverage and the media.
Yeah.
Most of the retails, including myself, will probably just say, "All right, fuck, I've just got dumped. I've just got rugged."
I see that for most of my deals also. Yeah. Like I'm talking about very selective, 2% or so, where I actually went and sued them because the value was big,
right?
And I didn't like how they treated me. Mostly because of BitGet they were calling me a dumper, not about the money. It was mostly called reputation. And this guy was, well, like I said, 95% of his community members was mine, and he was dumping on them. So I wanted to go after him legal. So that's the thing, but. Yeah, otherwise, dude, I've been dumped on so many times and I just let it slide. But that's part of the game, I
agree.
If you want to get the 100x, you got to be willing to take 90% pull downs. You can't have the 100x if you can't afford a 90% pull down.
That being said, man, this is an important question. And I think you're the right guy to answer it because you've seen pretty much all sides of crypto. And you've just said you've been dumped on, you've made 500x's, 100x's. But for the average retail out there, crypto is still a casino. It's still a gamble, right? What is, and I keep saying crypto and Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Because I know you're a firm believer of Bitcoin. I mean, I think your watch is also Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's the Bitcoin Frank Mueller edition. Yeah. I paid one Bitcoin for this.
At what price?
When Bitcoin was $21,000.
Bro, you...
Like I said, you got
just to remind you, 70K tonight.
Alternative asset because I liked it, not because of investment.
So tell me, bro, what is Bitcoin and what still makes you believe in crypto in general, or let's say Bitcoin for a fact?
So Bitcoin for me is definitely much more than just an investment, right? For me, it's it's a disruptive technology and it's not a gamble, right? Bitcoin is not a gamble because I fundamentally believe in Bitcoin changing the world, and I believe it being the global reserve currency in the future because I don't believe in the other options that we have. I'm not saying Bitcoin is the best option, but I think it's the best that we have out of everything that's out there right now. It's the better one out of everything, right? If you want to store your wealth, what are your options right now? You have gold. Too hard to transport it. Gold is a shiny rock. It's got its value because we believe that rock is worth more than the other rock that's out there. It's nothing but a shiny rock. That's all it is, right? Diamonds are also shiny, have the same context. We give value to these things. So to me, what's the best way to store this value right now? I think Bitcoin is definitely a leader because it's a better form of technology. What is your option right now if you want to hold $100 million? You could hold it in a bank, but then it's the bank's money. You want to transfer money, they can ask you 10 questions before they transfer it. I actually had money in Bank of America. And when I invested in the ease.com, I told you Uber for marijuana in 2014, yep. Bank of America actually blocked my funds saying that I have to answer questions, what am I investing in? Still, my account in Bank of America is blocked. It's my money in that account.
No way. Till date.
Federally, in America, it's illegal to invest in crypto because America works in states have different laws. But I invest in an app. I'm not selling weed. I invest in an app that lets people do a thing. I'm an investor, and this app's raised tens of millions from other Americans. What's the problem? Well, no problem, but we could block your account. So is it really my money? No, it's not because I can't spend it.
Right.
So banks, I don't trust banks, right? And anyways, even if you're holding USD or baht or rupee or pound almost crashed not a long time ago. If people forget, people have a very short memory. Pound, one single George Soros bought the pound down very, very quickly almost. Right? So these currencies can crash. They can be printed again and again. And there's no limit to how much you can print. The US dollar, the current global reserve, 40% supply was printed during COVID. There's a 200-year-old currency, and over half the supply has been printed in 2 years, right? So what does that mean? That means your purchasing power has been cut by half. You've been working for 20 years, saving money in US dollar, and boom, they just cut your purchasing power. What you could get for $1 10 years ago or 20 or 50 years ago is very different what you can get today. You basically get nothing for $1 today. You could buy a meal and much more for $1. You could buy a meal for a family for a week for $1 just a few decades ago.
Right.
So that's the difference, right? And Bitcoin is fundamentally strong in the way that it cannot be printed. There's only 21 million Bitcoins that are ever going to exist. There cannot be more Bitcoin. And as more and more people realize that, it's just a better form. And the main thing is, why do we need banks and why do we need governments to issue this? Why do we need these things, right? Why do we need the government to issue USD? Why do we need the monetary policy? Why do we need Bank of America? Why do we need Chase? So why do we need American Express? We need them because we want to have trade. We want to enable global trade. Somebody from India wants to do business with somebody from Thailand. We need support of these banks and governments. They enable that. But what's happened is we are placing trust in these centralized institutions, and we've been doing that for centuries. And over the last few decades, they've come to realize, and this institution is not serving the public anymore. The government is not doing the best job at serving the public because the people who have been put in power have realized that they can game the system.
Right.
So Bitcoin fixes that. Bitcoin takes away power from the banker, power from the government. I don't need to ask a banker to transfer my funds to you. I can transfer Bitcoin directly to you. And I don't need to depend on a public ledger when there is a decentralized ledger that's maintained by everybody who's part of the network. Everybody who connects to the network becomes a part of the network. Everybody maintains the ledger, right? So you take away power from these corrupt centralized institutions, these corrupt banks, and then you give it back to the people. And that's what Bitcoin does. And that's the main ethos behind Bitcoin, and that's why I believe in it. As more and more people realize that, they start seeing why Bitcoin is so much more valuable. And that's what's happening now with ETFs, actually. I'm not so happy about it because ETFs are trying to take power back again. So what happened, right? Jamie Dimon, all these big bankers, they called Bitcoin for a scam for many, many years. They did. Bitcoin's a scam. Bitcoin's a scam. It's a fraud, blah, blah, blah. They realize the thing with technology is you can never stop technical progress. You can only delay it. You can try to make it illegal to hold Bitcoin.
It's going to happen.
But you can't stop somebody from holding it. Right? And that's what technical progress is about, that eventually it's going to win. Now they realize that, oh shit, that Bitcoin, there is more transaction on USDT than Visa.
Yep.
Right? And the Bitcoin is making much more than what these banks are doing. And they're like, oh shit, now we got to find a way to make money. We got to stay relevant. And that's why they come out with ETFs. ETFs, what they do is they basically are a mirror image, right? But you don't need a mirror image when you can have the real product. Why would you want to have the mirror image? Because the banks want to make fees, right? That's what's happening again with it. They want to manipulate the market. So Bitcoin by itself, if you hold real Bitcoin in your wallet, you can go into any airport in the world. You can walk into any country in the world. Nobody knows how much you have. It's very, very liquid. You can show up in any country in the world and you can pretty much sell Bitcoin right away for real hard cash, that currency, that country. Or you want to send it to a bank transfer, get a Bitcoin transfer done anywhere in the world, any point of time. And it's up to you, the level of transparency you want to show. You have accounts that you can KYC. And Bitcoin is actually very, very transparent. You cannot actually hide a Bitcoin transaction that's been done in the past, right? So it's actually a much more and much safer way of doing business than doing cash deals.
Yep.
Because you can never lie about a deal. So, for example, for me, I don't trust cash. I don't like holding cash because I lose most of it very quickly. So I've never been a cash guy in my life ever.
Yeah.
So I've always trusted holding money. And like I said, I didn't have a good experience with banks 10 years ago when I was 19 as an investor, trying to invest in a legit company coming out of Silicon Valley, and I was already treated unfairly. So I've always been a believer in Bitcoin and holding that, and I've grown with it, right? And to me, it's never been a problem also. I have bought property in multiple countries and multiple continents from different parts of the world, and I have bought them with Bitcoin, and nobody can ever say that I never paid for that because that transaction will always stay there. It's on the blockchain. That transaction that I bought this property, like my beach house in Tulum or my beach place in Zanzibar, it's always there because it's on the blockchain. Nobody can ever claim or try to game the system saying you never paid for this. So, it's like, it's actually the best way, the best form of money. It's like that. That's the way I look at it. People claiming that it's used for terrorism, that's all bullshit. That's all just market manipulation because the largest amount of money used for terrorism and anything illegal is the US dollar. The US dollar has done hundreds of more time illegal values and transactions than Bitcoin 100%. Has ever done throughout its life. Probably this year has done more illegal transactions than Bitcoin's done all its life, right?
It's probably actually one of the best explanations of Bitcoin, man.
Exactly. So Bitcoin is to me, it's easy to transfer. It's easy to store. I don't have to have a massive safe and keep it inside, unlike gold. And it's not like gold or like paper where if there's water or something, it gets spoiled. So, and it's not like I have to go there to use it. I have hard assets in other parts of the world. Now, if I want to use that, I have to go to that place. I have to go to that place, go to open my safe, access it, and then have access to it. Bitcoin travels with me wherever I go because...
Is it your biggest asset in your portfolio today?
100%, 100%.
That's how much conviction you have.
Well, it's my biggest liquid asset, I like to say. So my illiquid investments are worth a lot more because I invest very actively.
And you mean that by real estate and all the other
I mean by real estate and private.
Equity.
I mean mostly private sales, mostly private equity.
Yeah.
So my private sale investments are very big. But yeah, my liquid, but they're illiquid, right? I can't sell the token that's not vested or that I haven't got. So, but Bitcoin, I can sell any minute. So like in terms of liquid investment, Bitcoin is by far my biggest liquidity.
Evan, you got Bitcoin under $300. You have bought way more on the way up, on the way down.
I'm still buying today.
You're still buying today?
I'm still buying Bitcoin today,
So
today's price.
That was
if
actually...
I'm making cash flow, what is the point of holding US dollar? I know for a fact Bitcoin is going to do much more than what it is right now within a year. If you're just playing that game, but to me, like 50%, I don't think Bitcoin's going to give you like the next 10x in the next couple of years, right? But if it's still way better than holding US dollar, it's way better than holding any other currency, right? So that's the thing. So it's going to beat out all the other fiat currencies in the next 12 months. If you don't need liquidity, like, oh, you need to pay bills, you need money for that, there's no point of holding USD. You're not holding Bitcoin.
Literally going to be my question for all our friends that are watching this. Is it still too late to buy Bitcoin?
Oh, it's not too late. The best time was 2009. The second best time is now. So I don't think it's too late at all. Like I'm still buying every day. I am investing also actively in the Web3 space, in private, in deals, in also real estate actively. If I was not doing any of those, and I'm doing those because I'm actually like interested on those things. I want to build my city in Zanzibar. I want to be involved in that deal that I'm doing. I like that. I like this AI project this company is building. I want to be part of it. I want to be involved in there. That's why I'm doing it. But also just buying Bitcoin and sitting on it is not a bad opportunity, right? I still think it's a very, very good opportunity. I still think it's a wonderful opportunity.
Evan, what's one thing you would say to all our viewers and friends and family that are actually watching this? Buy Bitcoin for sure. Buy Bitcoin.
Go and spend some time and learn about Bitcoin. And don't watch one movie or listen to one influencer. Talk to 10 people you think are the right people, and go and talk to them, and then they will tell you. And understand. Spend some basic. I want you to understand and really understand why we have Bitcoin, why we need Bitcoin. Even understand tokenization, right? I can tell you about that. If you think about it, I see a future where we've already seen millions of tokens being launched. We have seen so many tokens coming up, but I see a future where there's token for everything, right? I think tokenization is a very, very beautiful way to align incentives.
100%.
If you think about it right now, if somebody I ask, what's the best car to buy? What's your favorite car, Sahib?
Let's say a Porsche.
Okay, so you would say a Porsche, right? So that's something you like. If somebody asks me what's the best car to buy, I don't drive for 10 years. I bought the electric Porsche because I like to be careful about the environment. But I don't drive for 10 years. So for me, I would probably say maybe a Rolls Royce Cullinan, right?
Yeah.
There's new electric one to be nice to the environment. That would be a nice car to buy. But we're saying that because we feel these are nice cars or because we feel that these are great cars. Now, if tomorrow Toyota and Porsche or Hyundai come out with a token and you can buy the token and you can get a claim of every Porsche sold. You can do that in the share market today.
Right.
But it's not that directly aligned. It's not that straightforward. It's very hard for 99% of people to actually do.
Right.
Half the world actually is not able to access a share market. But they can make a MetaMask and they can go and access a token in 5 minutes or less. So, if tomorrow Toyota and Hyundai come up with a token and you buy Toyota tokens, I buy Hyundai tokens, and somebody asks you what's the best car to buy, you say buy a Toyota.
Yeah.
I'll say buy a Hyundai. Because instantly when you're saying that, you're enriching yourself, right? Right now,
pumping our bags.
You're pumping your bags. Right now, what happens in the business, there's 3 stakeholders involved. The user of the business, is the owner of the business, and the manager of the business.
Right.
The user, the manager, and the owner all want different things. The user wants the best product for the cheapest price.
Right.
The owner wants to make the most money. The manager wants to keep everybody happy and make the business a long-term success. But they all want different things. You can't have the cheapest and the best product while also enriching the owner. What happens here in this situation is when you make the user a part owner, you align him. So at that point, you enable for massive growth. And that's what is happening with tokenization. We are seeing these companies coming out and growing. It's always been said in the general traditional investment world, instead of buying an iPhone, buy Apple stock.
Yep.
The same mythology, right? That if you bought Apple stock 20 years ago, same mythology is happening, but it's so hard to buy Apple stock, right? It's so hard to buy stocks. Even today, even for somebody like me, it's complicated. I'm telling you, after KYC and all these processes, it's still so hard.
And the beauty of
that's our company. So that's what tokenization is about. The next step to this we're already seeing where companies are tokenizing, and you're using. Like I'm wearing my shoes today.
Yeah.
This is my Nike. Because I have the token from them.
Artifact. Yeah.
I get the more they sell, the more airdrops I get.
Yeah.
And then the next step is that the user becomes a pot manager. So let's say Hyundai, you buy Hyundai tokens, makes $10 billion in revenue.
Yeah.
And then they can decide where they want to spend that money. Right now, a board of directors decide where to spend that money. But now, if you could easily with the token, the DAO, you could easily make it governance. You can go and vote where do you want to spend, right? Does Hyundai spend on a new boat, or they spend R&D on a new bicycle or a new airplane? What do you like to do? Do you like to fly, or do you like to be on the water? I like to be on the water. So if I had, I would say invest in a better yacht. I want cheaper yachts,
right?
So because I don't have one right now. So that's the next step in the picture, right? So you make the pot user a manager also, and I foresee a world. Maybe 2 years or maybe 5, I don't know, because technology grows very fast. We don't know how fast it comes. But I foresee a world very, very close in the future where everybody is holding different tokens for different businesses they believe in, they want to use, and they're a pot owner and a pot manager. And that's how you have the maximum growth, because that's when you can grow exponentially, is when you make the user a pot owner and a pot manager.
And the beauty of that is also that the fact you are growing a community.
Exactly.
Right? A community that's all positive. I wouldn't say positive, but all have the same vested interest.
100%. And that's when you say community, that's beautiful word, right? And that's one of the other big reasons why I am so bullish in Web3, and generally because Web3 is a lot about community, right?
Correct.
So when you're part of something, you're part of this token and this project, you feel great about it, and that's what it is. You feel like you're part of something.
100%.
What do the NFTs do, right? I mean, NFTs came into the picture, and I spent $5 million on chain buying all the biggest NFTs.
Probably own like how many monkeys or bases do you own right now?
I have like 7 Bored Apes, I have 7 Doodles, 7 Azuki, 7 Clone X's, like CryptoPunks.
All the top blue chips.
Even all the top blue chips on Ethereum, on Solana. I even bought Ordinals, I have the OMBs, I have the Bitcoin Frogs, the Bitcoin Punks. So I pretty much bought all. But when people ask me, like, I don't really look at these investments, because I think this is beautiful in the way what these NFTs they're fixing the problem of loneliness.
Right.
And that is $1 trillion problem that nobody talks about. Is most people are lonely today. Even though with social media, you have everybody so connected, they're still very lonely.
Yep.
So what NFTs do is now I can go into any part in the world, and I can go into the BYC group or the CryptoPunk group, like, hey guys, I'm in town, who's around? There's something happening. And
at least one person will say, hey, let's meet for a drink.
I'm going to show you around. Yep. I'm going to take you out. And
I agree.
even when people are traveling, they're like, I'm in Bangkok right now. I had a couple of BAYC members fly throughout in the last few weeks I've been here, and I met with them, right?
Yep.
And I chat because we were just members. So I think NFTs, and because of because the NFTs are based on your interest, it's even more interesting that they bring the right communities together.
Right. There's vibes. There's so many things. Like there's vibes. There's about the community. All that kind of brings about that whole holistic world with.
Exactly. And if you ask me, like I've lost a lot of money on NFTs. I've lost many millions of dollars.
Bro. All our bags are gone.
But if you ask me, do I regret it? Not for 1 second. Because the introductions and the friends I've made has made me so much more value.
I agree.
That the value is intangible, but the value is there. That's why even today my profile picture is an ape.
Yep.
Even though that ape has cost me $300,000, I don't care about that, because I've made so many introductions and so many people I've met. The Ape Fest last year in Hong Kong was a sausage fest of like 9,000 guys, and that's the last place you would ever catch me. But dude, I had a wild time there. I had a very, very good time.
And also back to leverage, right?
Exactly. It's also a leverage, because now that these communities are the certain part are doing the certain things. So, and then also like what I did was I actually had a gift for you here. I bought you the BYC outfit from the...
Oh, dude, this is Evan's signature, man.
Class A NFT. So I did this to basically spread the movement forward. But what's been interesting? I've been seeing in Thailand, in Bangkok malls, multiple stores are selling BYC clothing.
Man, dude.
So I don't know how this... These are my apes that I got for you. So this is $1 million outfit. Because these apes together cost me $1 billion. But this one is for you.
Thank you, man. Dude, definitely gonna rock this, man. Definitely gonna
so
rock
when you walk this around, you're like, oh, that's the middle outfit I'm wearing. But I've seen this around There's actually a $25,000 statue I saw in Icon Siam at an art gallery of a BOIC.
Dude,
like a 6 feet high statue being sold. So
I mean, Bases are it is the iconic NFT.
It's the new culture. It's the new culture, but it's so much better, right? Because it's also the same thing. Like, why is a Richard Mille worth $500,000 today in most average? Because people believe it's worth that much. They only make $4,000 a year, and they don't make more than that. But people have more demand. It's the same with the BAYCs, right? There's only 10,000, and there's never going to be any more actually. So we give the value. There is no difference between a Richard Mille or this Frank Miller Tell the Time, or even a Casio for $500. They all tell the same time. It's just that we believe that value is there because of the process and the story that's behind it.
100%.
Right? And I think it's the same with the NFTs. And I think what happens with digitally is that it's easier to relate to a digital community and connect with it. So yes, they call the Richard Mille Billionaires Handshake, and there's a community group of people who have that. And when you go to Monaco and you see somebody else, you automatically become friends. You know that this guy is the same group.
It's the same thing in NFTs.
But there's no Telegram group that I can go and connect with all Richard Mille owners.
That's a good point.
That's what NFT solves. Now, if I'm in Bangkok, I would love to another RM guy to show me around, but I don't know where to find him, right? Because I know he would have at least some similar interests.
Yeah.
But now with BOIC, I know where they are, and it's the same with other. It doesn't just have to be BOIC. Could be an NFT that costs $500.
True.
Could be the golf club NFT, right? You like to play golf, get the golf club one.
True.
And meet other people who like to play golf. Could be a tennis club NFT. So that's the main idea, and I think that's like solving that loneliness problem is a massive deal that most people don't realize.
Ladies and gentlemen, man, there's so much to unpack, and Evan has given us so many of these golden nuggets. I feel like there's these conversations can go on and on, especially when we've touched the NFTs and the whole community part. There's so much more that I want to talk about. But if there's a one thing that I would take away from this is educate yourself. Right? Don't be shy to show up, because it's literally the same thing for me as well. Be curious, educate yourself, and buy your first Bitcoin if you haven't. And you don't have to buy a Bitcoin. Sorry, let me say that again. Buy some Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin is not crypto. Crypto that you see out there, the meme coins that you see up and down, that is a whole different asset class to what we talk about
100%.
Bitcoin. Guys, thanks a lot, Evan, for coming by. It was a fun conversation, insightful, and definitely, where do we follow you, man? Where can these guys follow you? I'm going to drop their socials below. But what's the best way?
Yeah, you can stay in touch with me on Instagram or Twitter at Evan Luthra. And these are the two social networks I use mostly. You can reach out to me on Telegram at Evan Luthra, EvanLuthra. This is my only username everywhere. All the other ones are fake.
Don't get scammed.
Don't get scammed. Be careful. I would never ask you for money, and I would never offer you to teach you how to trade or anything like that. I'm not doing any trading course. I actually do not trade, and none of that. So be very careful. And I'm happy to leave everybody here with 4 good pieces of advice that I think can help you out, and I like to call it Evan. So E for enthusiasm. You gotta love what you do. Be enthusiastic about what you do. If you love what you do, you will always have success. So that's very, very important, and that's why I had everything I had, because I did everything with a lot of passion. V for vision. You're gonna dream big. The bigger you dream, the better it is. It takes the same amount of effort to build a $100 million company or a $1 million company. Same amount of deal flow, same amount of talking, same amount of work. It's just about having a bigger goal. The bigger goal you have, the better it is. Even if you fail at the bigger goal, you still do better than most people actually dreamed about. A for A for being actionable and having a big ambition, right? You wanna take action, and you want to have a big ambition. A lot of people keep thinking and don't take action. That's the big side. I like to say take action first and think after. Actually, if there's a choice between taking action and thinking a lot, I would always take action first and think fast after, and that's always paid off in life for me. And then be nimble, move fast and break things. So you gotta be, like I said, the more you execute, the better it does. And in the Web3 space, where things are changing so fast, in the technology space, where innovation happens faster than you can imagine, it is okay to make mistakes. So don't worry about that. Just make sure you're adding value for others.
Dude, you didn't just come up with this, man. This has to be God's plan in making Evan the last few words of anything that you would say, a beautiful ending on an advice. I'm going to ask you to help me derive SAHIB as well.
Yeah, happy to do that. Yeah, we can work with that. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks, dude. Evan, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Keep in touch. Guys, keep Keep a lookout for our next episode with another base entrepreneur, creator, or whatever we bring to you. Thank you.